All right, so the title of this is Get More Listings. We're going to combine old school and new school methods. And the idea behind this is that in a low inventory market, in order to be the top agent of that market, you have to produce more listings. Okay, it doesn't matter if you've got 20 buyers if there's no inventory to actually get them into a home. In our market right now, I think I looked the other day, it was like 17 or 1800 single family home listings. There's more if you look at condos and apartments and stuff. But for single family homes, it's pretty low inventory compared to where it was a couple of years back, where you're looking at 4, 5, 6,000 single family homes available. So one way that we can sort of take market share and get more business is to go hunting for the listings. And so with this strategy, this is not just a farming strategy. You might hear the word farming if you look at, you just go to Google and you type in farming for listings or whatever. This is, and there's lots of different kinds of farming. There's workplace farming, there's geo farming. There's, farming a section of friends. You can farm different things. An example of like workplace farming would be, delivering lunch to a doctor's office, and you're farming that workplace for potential buyers and sellers. This right here is geo farming. So that means a geographic location or area of farming. Now, the reason it's called mega is because, like I said, it's going to combine some old school with some new school methods. We have to do some things that agents are not willing to do because either they're lazy, they don't understand how to do it, they don't know what to do, or they just think that their phone is going to ring off the hook and they're going to have deals without actually doing the work. So let's dive in and let's go through mega geo farming for listings. And this is specifically for listings. Now, what's interesting is when you get a listing, of course, you're going to get buyers because you're going to hold open houses. You might even find the buyer to, somebody calls your sign, and when you have your sign out front, and now you're all of a sudden you're double siding the deal. Okay. The cool thing about farming is that when you farm a geographic location and you are consistent with it, you will actually have leads lined up in a pipeline for years to come. And what we're going to do is we're going to dive into 7 proven steps for the mega geo farming strategy. Okay, here's a tip, is that we're not going to start this plan until everything is in place. Now, if you yourself are doing this plan and you're a single agent, you're definitely you're going to want to partner with a lender, a title, inspection company, a local business of some kind, because you're going to want to you're going to want to get some help to pay for this. Okay. Don't start with the first mail out until everything is figured out ahead of time and you know how you're paying for it and everything is ordered and designed and everything. Okay. All right, let's jump right in. So the overview. Day 1 is mail out number 1. Day 3 is the phone call. Day 10-ish, your door knocking, door hangers. Around day 21 is second mail out. Then the announcement flyer of some kind. We'll talk about what that looks like. And we're having an event and then a thank you card. That is a super generic of what we're about to dig into. Okay. And then you're going to repeat that process multiple times in a year in those neighborhoods. Okay. Before I get into this, again, if you're a single agent, you're looking at between 350 to 500 homes. Okay, that's your geographic farm to start with. A single agent, you're not going to be able to tackle thousands of homes on this. It's A, extremely expensive. B, to door hang and door knock thousands and thousands of homes is not, it's really difficult. So stick with one farm, 350 to 500 homes. Now, before you line up your mail out and figure out where you're sending your home and figure out what your market is, getting your list is super important. When you're figuring out your list, there's a few things you're looking for. You're looking for areas in your county or in your city that have a decent turnover rate or a churn or whatever. And that's when people are actually leaving and coming. If I have a neighborhood where nobody ever leaves and nobody ever buys, that's a terrible one to farm, because nobody's moving. They all live there until they die. That's not like a great farm, because you might not get a sale for 10 years, right? So find an area where you're seeing movement. Okay. So that's number one, is pick an area where, people coming in and out. That right there means that there's activity already. Number two, pick an area that has enough homeowners that have lived there for at least a couple of years. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the average used to be 8 years that somebody would stay in a home before they move. That average after COVID, I think, has come down to about 5 years. But the chances of them selling their primary residence within 2 years is actually pretty low. So you're looking for areas where a lot of the people have purchased at least 2 years ago and there's decent movement. Okay, so you're going to want to hit the homes that, they've been there for a little bit, because they have a higher chance of selling. Okay, so once you've established your farm and established your list, okay, you're going to design your first mail out, and your mail out can look something like this. This is an example of the one that we have designed for the team. And on the next page, I'll show you the back. The idea, though, is that you're going to add value to the potential seller. So if you look at this postcard right here, and it's not asking like, hey, what's your home worth? It's not saying, look at me, I'm your new agent in town. All it's saying is, here's our exclusive seller's kit. Do you want it? Right? And they scan that QR code and they get it. Now, who's going to scan that QR code? Somebody who wants a seller's kit. Who wants a seller's kit? Somebody who might be looking to sell, or at least has interest. So it's a highly qualified lead when they scan and they give you the information. Okay, a much more highly qualified lead than just saying, what's your home worth? And not to say that home worth is a bad one. It's good. It's just, to get a seller's kit, they're actually thinking about, what do I need to do in order to sell? Okay, so something that adds value is a lead capture. Your website, if you have KB Core, has lead captures. You can easily set up a landing page, send this QR code straight to there. Okay, it's free. Okay, QR codes are free too. Okay, Canva, Google, Flowcode, lots of ways to get a QR code for free. Landing page is free. Now, Vistaprint and Next Day Flyers are great places to go for mailers. Okay, now I will tell you this, and I made this mistake when I was new to the industry. I sent one mailer to my neighborhood. What does one mailer do? Literally nothing. You might think you're going to get instant phone calls. It's not going to happen. So again, I didn't have a strategy in place. I was just like, oh, I'm going to do mailers to my neighborhood. Now that's better than nothing, but not much better than nothing. Make sure you have a follow-up strategy and other touches aside from just one mailer. Okay. All right. So this next page shows you the back. This backside right here is what's included in the seller's kit when they scan the QR code, right? It might have my sponsor, it might have like whoever it is. You do have to put your contact information on there legally. If you're sending a mailer, it has to have the business name and contact information. Okay. All right. So that's example of mail out number one. And this is the mailer that we actually are launching in a week, right? This is the one that's happening. Okay. Step two, around day 3, day 4, day 5, allow a couple of days for your mailer to actually get there, and then call the area that you just mailed. And you might say, well, how do I know their phone numbers? Well, if you use a product like Mojo or RedX, they have what's called skip tracing or geo leads. And what that means is you put a pin on a map, or you draw a box around a location, and it literally gives you a name, a phone number. You can pay extra for like emails and stuff like that. And you can literally pick up the phone and call every single person. And what's nice about this first phone call is that you're not selling them anything. This is not like sales 101 phone calls where you're like, yes, I'd like to sell you whatever. It's not a sales call. So that means that there's no pressure on this call. You're not trying to get like a sale. What are you trying to get though? You're trying to introduce yourself as the local real estate professional. You're going to ask them if they received the mailer and the free value that we just sent them, the seller's kit. I'm going to pick on Eduardo for a second, and I'm going to say, Mr. Acevedo, this is Randall Wooters with RW Group at eXp Realty. The reason for my call today is I just wanted to see if you received our free gift in the mail the other day. And that free gift was a complete seller's kit. It's our gift to you. It has everything that you would possibly need in order to list your home for top dollar. And I just wanted to see if you received that. No, you haven't seen that? That's okay. We're going to send out another one here in a few days. I just want to make sure that you got that. Or, oh, you did receive it. And then you just go into a natural conversation. Like, what would be the next question you might ask? What'd you think? Did you like it? Did you scan the QR code? Are you interested in selling your home? And if not, that's okay. The thing that you could ask them is, listen, how would you like to receive market reports in the neighborhood? Maybe once a month. No pressure. Cool. Next, right? It's not try to convert every call. Now, if everything goes really smooth, what then? And they're actually responding favorably. Yeah, actually, we downloaded the seller's guide. It was really good. The next thing I would say is, so time frame, in a perfect world, if you could wave a magic wand and sell your home, when would that be? As soon as they give me a time frame, I'm going to say, great, let's set an appointment. I want to get in your home to do a valuation. Now you can go do a Zestimate, or you can go look on, a line for an estimate, but those aren't going to be accurate because they haven't seen the home. In order to do a professional home valuation, I have to get into the home and look at it. Great. When can we set up an appointment? How about tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Set the appointment. Okay. Now you're into a listing appointment. That's if everything goes really smooth. That's not the goal in every call, but if it does go favorably, that's the goal. Okay. All right. Oops. Covered up my little thing there. All right. Step number 3 is door knock and door hangers. This is actually 2 strategies combined, because typically, back in the day, door knocking was a big thing where you would just go door to door and try to sell a product or do a thing. This is not like that. Okay. Door knocking is weird and scary and creepy, and nobody likes to answer the door and stuff like that. And I get it. Okay. Here's how this is a little bit different. Knock the door. If they answer, hey, just want to introduce myself. We're the local real estate agent in the area. Just want to make sure you had our free gift, a seller's kit, and you hand them the door hanger. You're ready to walk away. That's all you need to do. If the conversation goes smooth and they actually have a receptive response, then you can start the conversation about, yeah, so how long have you been here? Actually, I don't live very far from here. I've been here for a while, whatever. And you get into a natural conversation. In the absolute best case scenario, they invite you in, you get a listing presentation, you get a listing contract, and you sell the home. That's like the smoothest possible. Should that be expected? Absolutely not. Okay. 99 out of 100 times, it's going to be hand them the door hanger and say, we are a resource for you. I really hope that you scan this and download the complete seller's kit. Okay, that's what's going to happen most of the time. If they don't answer the door, hang the door hanger and on to the next one. I put in here sort of like capital letters, this is not a sales pitch. Read body language. Look somebody in the eye. Don't look at the floor or on the ground or off to the side. Look someone in the eye, introduce yourself, let them know you have a free gift. And that's pretty much it. If they respond favorably, go from there. If you get the creeps about the house, hang it on the doorknob and go to the next one. Don't knock the door if you get a weird vibe. Okay. Especially if you're alone, and whatever. If it's getting late, just hang it and move on. Okay. All right. Step number 4 is the second mail out. Now we're a few weeks into this after the first mail out went out. They've had 2 chances now to scan a QR code. Now this is the 3rd chance to scan a QR code to get the seller kit. Okay. Now your mailer doesn't have to look identical to the first one. It can. Ours is going to, because we really want to see if they're going to scan this thing. Okay. And it can say something like, hey, wonder what your house might be worth in this crazy market. Give me a call to get an expert valuation. Or it could be download our free seller's kit or whatever. Okay. It's almost identical to the first one in the farming that we're going to do. Keep it short and sweet, and move on. All right. Step number 5, we have an announcement flyer, and you're like, well, what am I announcing? Hopefully an open house. If you don't have an open house, because this is your first time doing the neighborhood and you haven't gotten a listing yet, then I recommend a community event of some kind. Okay. And we'll talk about that in a second. And if it's an open house, you're going to hand deliver these flyers. Again, same as the door knocking, door hangers. You just walk around, you give flyers. Hey, you're invited. Come on over. It's not a sales pitch. It's just a flyer. You hand it to them. Another thing that you can do is you can fold the flyer, or not fold it, but kind of like bend it so that it's, has a little bit of tension, and stick it in their little door frame, door jamb, so that when they get home or whatever, it's there. Okay. And it's a full page flyer. You can print them cheaply, or you can have them done at Staples or Office Depot or something like that. It's just whatever works for you. Okay. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but it should be designed well. And because we have access to eXp Marketing Center if you're at eXp Realty. Okay. All right. If this is another option, if it's not, well, I'm sorry, going back to this. Option 1 is that it's an open house. Okay. My suggestion for an open house is what's called a mega open house. It's an all-day affair with at least 2 people in attendance. That means you and the lender, you and another agent, you and whatever. And I highly recommend little breakfast, finger foods, lunch, afternoon snacks. Be careful about alcohol in the state of Florida. Like, you can get away with like some mimosas, some little Bloody Marys, some stuff like that. If your brokerage allows it. eXp, I haven't heard anything otherwise. Again, you're not trying to get people like drunk or anything. You're just at like a glass or a sip of something. Okay. Event number 2. This is option number 2. If you don't have a listing yet and there's no open house, what then? Do you still pass out a flyer? Yes. Do you still have an event? Yes. What kind of event? Some kind of community event. Okay. Remember, this is 350 to 500 doors that is in your farm, unless you're doing a team farm and it's a lot bigger. And so think something small. 1 or 2 food trucks is a great way to start, because a lot of times you can get a food truck to show up for free. Okay. Not every time, depends on the food truck, but call them and say, hey, look, I'm having an event. I'm expecting 50 to 100 people. Not sure. I'm flyering 500 doors. And so I would love if you came out and, parked at the local park and whatever. Call them, see if they're willing to do it. You never know what you can get for free. Okay. But start there. If you would like to do some other events, I have lots of other ideas. Here's 10 ideas for community events. And now you are sort of like the little neighborhood hero, because you're the one organizing events. And remember, you're not alone in this. You're getting a business or a partner to help pay for these things. So it shouldn't be all out of your pocket. Okay. I'm not going to read through every single one of these because you can see them on the screen, but just be creative. And even if you don't do one of these, do a different kind of event. All right. After the event is over, some sort of thank you card. And it's not just the thank yous to the people who came to the event. It's actually everybody in your farm is getting a thank you card. And it's preferable to have it handwritten. If you need to write out a note, put it in Canva, remove the background and make it look like handwritten, that is actually what we're going to do. This is an older example, but you can see it looks handwritten. If you want to do actual handwritten ones and it's only 350 or 500 doors, you can hire some teenagers, friends, family members, sit down and write a bunch. You can actually ask somebody at fiverr.com to write them out, right? You can have other people write this thing and you tell them exactly what to write. You give them a list of names and then they can do it for you. There's also a robo writer, which is a robot that takes an actual ballpoint pen and writes it for you, but it gets a little pricey. It might be cheaper to just have a friend party and hey, I'll buy everybody a pizza if you come over and help me write cards or whatever. Okay. The idea though is that you're sending to every single person. And you might say, well, why would I send to everybody thank you when they didn't come? Because if they missed it, now you're creating even more FOMO, fear of missing out, for the next one. Okay. And you could say something like, hey, if you missed it, you should definitely come to the next one. Okay. Make sure you include your information, your name, cell phone number, website, all that stuff. I always try to make sure there's a picture of myself. If I'm doing this campaign for myself, you better believe my picture is on everything, right? So that when they see me walk in the neighborhood with my kids or dog or whatever, or they see me at the community event, they recognize me. I'm not just like some stranger. Okay. All right. First question. How the heck am I going to pay for all this? Well, first is get a list of the expenses, price everything out, make a spreadsheet, put it on a document, do whatever you need to do. Write out how much everything is going to cost. Okay. And all of that stuff is easy to find out. You can go to literally Vistaprint, Next Day Flyers, etc. And you can say, okay, I need this many mailers. It's going to cost this much. This many door hangers is going to cost this much. And get your list of expenses and know your expenses. Now, once you know your expenses, this is where the legwork comes in, because now you're going to reach out and you're going to find partners. Okay, vendors, affiliates, and partners. You need to have an extended team. You are not in this alone. So who is your extended team? All of your vendors, affiliates, and partners. Who are those people? They can be, the local inspection company, the local title company, the local lending, right? They absolutely should help you in some way, whether it's, oh, I'll help pay for the first mailer, or I'll pay for the door knocker or door hangers, or I'll just give you $500. Okay, whatever, it's great. Okay, and then when it comes to the event, you want somebody there with you. So maybe they're not contributing money-wise, but they're there and they're able to help capture leads and talk to people and all that stuff. Okay, so we actually have a vendor affiliate partner list template to help you get ideas of who should be on this list. And it could be anything from the local plumber to the AC company to inspectors, appraisers, insurance companies. The list goes on and on and on and on. Okay. The idea is that if you can get 5, 6, 7 people to chip in, even at just $100, $50 towards your campaign, and you'll create a banner at the event or something cheap, and you put their logo on it. Or maybe you send an email to your database as they come in and they're in the database, and you say, hey, I'm partnered with ABC Dental. He's like, wait, the real estate agent's partnered with a dental company? Yeah, because they help provide marketing expenses, right? You can partner with anyone. Okay, how many listings will I get from doing this? Because we don't know how many mailers you're going to send, and we don't know what your list looks like, we can't possibly give you a number, because what if you pick a list that's awful, right? And you pick a list where, like I said, nobody's moved in 10 years and nobody, everybody just dies here, right? So you pick a terrible list, the answer might be zero. I hate to say that, but chances are, and we know this because we've talked to mailer companies, companies that do just mailers. They don't do any of these other pieces, but just mailers. They say that your conversion ratio is about 2 to 4% of the houses will actually act in that year. So let's do some math really quick around this. And this is just the mailers. This isn't the other stuff that we're talking about, right? This isn't knocking. This isn't calling. This isn't the community event. This isn't any of those other pieces. But let's just say I'm going to go between the 2 to 4. I'm going to say 3%. Okay. So right there in the middle. So let's say you went to 500 homes. Okay. 3% of 500 is 15 in a 12-month period. Not bad. Okay. Now, are all those going to be in month one? No. Right. And that requires you following up with them. Okay. So a 3% conversion ratio of a 500 home farm in a 12-month period. That's 15 listings. Now, let's do some more math. From 15 listings, hopefully that means 15 open houses. The average, national average, is 2.3 buyers for every listing that you have. Okay. So take 15 and multiply that by 2.3, right? So 15 times 2.3, that's 34.5. Add that to the original 15, you should have 49.5 sales. Now I know you can't have a half a sale, but you get what I'm saying. If you do it right, you capture at least 2.3 buyers for every listing. You should have an entire career off of 500 homes. If you're a single agent, this is the way to go. Okay. How much money will I make from doing this? That's a really good question. It depends on your farm. If you purposefully choose a farm that the average price is super low, you're not going to make as much money. If you pick a farm, the average price is really good, you're going to make more money. It's just how it works. So be wise on choosing your farm. Let's do some quick numbers. Let's say that those numbers a second ago are true. In a 12-month period, 49, I'm just going to round down, 49 homes. Okay, let's take the national average of 389. That's the national average right now in America, $389,000 for a home, times 0.025%. That's 97.25 times 49. Gross commission before splits and fees and etc. is really good. I got $476,000. Yeah, you're doing okay. Okay, now remove your broker splits and remove all your fees. Even if it costs you $100,000 at your brokerage, you're still doing really well. Okay. So all that said, how much money is going to 100% depend on the farm that you choose. Okay. If you pick a mobile home farm, don't expect $400,000 in income. This is not possible. So be wise. How many vendors or business partners should I get to do this with me? At least 3 to 5 vendors. Okay, that's the goal. If you find that you've got plenty of money from just one vendor, then great, go for it. Okay. You'd be surprised what a title company will give because you're going after listings. So start with title and lending, and then go home insurance and inspectors and appraisers and people that are actually associated with a transaction, and then move out from there. People who would be fixing homes, contractors, electricians, plumbers, handymen, etc. And so just be smart about who you're going to start with and be ready for some rejection. It's okay. If they're not interested in working with you, you'll find somebody that is, and then they get to benefit from the success because now they are your referral for all of this business. And so they win when you win. Okay. All right. Why do you recommend an all-day open house? And this is a question I actually got. And I tell people like a 3 to 4 hour open house. Here's the logic behind this. Most people that do a 3 to 4 hour open house do it when? In the afternoon, probably 12 to 4, 1 to 5. But let's back it up. Who are the people looking at open houses most of the time? National, like anecdotal evidence is suggesting moms are the ones that want to go to the open house. Okay, it just is what it is. Moms want to go to the open house. The dad probably doesn't care. He'll go if she goes. Okay, if it's a family, right? Now, let's think through this logically. Moms with younger kids, when is nap time? Afternoon. I just scheduled my open house over top of the time that the mom who would want to see this can't because now she's got nap time with her kid. So I just eliminated a huge demographic of people that would want to go to my open house. That's why an open house, if you're going to do a 3 to 4 open house, 3 to 4 hour open house, do it in the morning, 9 to noon. If you're only going to do it 3 to 4 hours, 9 to noon. Don't do it noon to 1 or noon to 3 or 4 or 5. Okay, you're really missing a huge demographic there. What I suggest, bring your laptop, have your cell phone, have your stuff printed out. 40, 50, 60 signs go out for open houses. The big feather banners go out in the driveway, agent inside, open house. Have your lender there. Dress the part, look professional. Have an iPad at the front door. Do not let people into your open house. Literally stand in the door with a smile and an iPad and say, sign in here. They can't get past you until they sign in. And what's on that sign in? You can use the Core app for open house. Core open house, I think is what it's called. And that will go straight into your KV Core. But they're answering a few questions: name, email, phone number. Do they have a realtor? What's that realtor's name? Not just yes or no, but what's the realtor's name? Okay, we're capturing leads here, and they do not pass you until they have filled out the iPad. If they try to skirt past you, you stand firmly with a smile on your face and the iPad in their face. Okay. And if they really are being a jerk, you don't let them in at all. If they're like, dude, I'm not signing that. Okay, well, I'm sorry. We really want to know who's coming in and out of this home in case anything goes missing, in case there's something that gets broken, in case somebody gets an illness, whatever. Make up what you want to, just don't let people in. Okay. All right, mega open house. Get creative. Food, beverage, music, smells. Think about how it smells. Should it be cookies? Should it be coffee? Should it be something else, right? You don't want it to smell like somebody's dingy home, okay? You want it to smell nice. Does the home have a pool? Does it have the little screen thing around it? If so, you're good. Make sure it's locked. If it doesn't, be really careful about little kids and people wandering around the house without you watching. Obviously, we don't want anything to happen. There's some really cool big players, Brent Gove, Kyle Whistle, and a few others that do the mega open houses. I've seen it where they invite the local radio station to their open house. They have a DJ or they have live music. They have bounce houses. They go nuts for an open house. And they'll get 30, 40, 50 leads off of one open house. Okay. Hopefully that satisfied that question. Is this method only for experienced agents? The answer resoundingly is no. It is for all agents. All agents, all you've got to do is get a plan in place and execute the plan. Okay. Do your research on the market and then get all your ducks in a row before you start, and then go launch. Okay. And in about 45, 50 days, you'll know did I do a good job or not, right? And then you follow up with all the leads that you captured. You should have leads that you're now following up with. You're getting them on the phone, you're setting appointments, you're continuing to go around. In a few months, do the whole thing all over again. Start over. 3-4 times in a year is not too much. Trust me. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? Okay. We got a little bit of time. Good. How often or how many times should I do the mega farming? We talked about this 3 or 4 times. If you can afford it and you have the time, you can actually cycle through 2 or 3 farms if you just continually go. Okay, if you have the time and the money. Okay, because you should have about 6 or 7 weeks between each cycle, which should allow you to do another cycle somewhere else. Okay. Will I only get seller leads? I think we answered this already, but I'll just say it again. Every listing should produce on average between 2.3 and 2.5 buyer clients. And I do think you'll actually get more than that because of the strategies that you're going to be putting in place. And remember that every seller, most sellers, are moving somewhere else, right? That should be another buyer right there. Now, if they're moving locally, you'll represent them. If they're moving out of town, you should get the what? The referral. Now, something that we're implementing in our strategy, if the seller is moving locally, we ask them, would you be okay if we threw you a going away party and we pay for all the food and drinks? Oh, wait, okay, sure. Yeah, it's going to be several $100s, maybe $400 or $500 worth of food and drinks. We'd like you to invite everyone and your grandma to this going away party. Okay, if they're leaving town, if they're leaving town. Oh, that sounds amazing. I've never even thought about having a go away party. Great. We would love to help throw that for you. We'll even find some live music if we can, or a DJ or something. Okay. Now, if they are moving locally, we don't have to do the going away party, but what we can do is if we represent them on the buy side, once they've got settled into their new home, we do a housewarming party. Same thing, invite all your friends and family because now you're the hometown hero, the realtor that went above and beyond. $300-400, that's nothing to capture 4, 5, 6 more leads of their friends and family. And remember that those are different kind of leads. That's now a sphere of influence lead. And they have a 78% conversion ratio, which means they're probably never even going to interview another realtor. Think about that. You do a housewarming party or a going away party, those are sphere of influence. They know you because of their friend. Done. You're the realtor. Okay. 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. All right. So what if I don't get a single lead in my first time doing this method? There's a few questions you'll have to ask yourself. Did you execute the plan fully with integrity, truly knock every door, actually call every single home, throw a great event, and only you can answer that? Okay. If you throw up your hands and say, I suck at this, ask yourself honestly, did you go all in? Okay. And again, maybe you did. Let's say that you did go all in. Examine the information you're putting out there. Was my landing page good? Was the design well done? Were there any typos? Have somebody else critique the verbiage. Have somebody else critique the mailers. Have somebody else look at the overall presentation of what you did. Okay. And don't be afraid to learn and do better the next time. Maybe I could have something different when I door knock. Maybe instead of just the door knock, door hang, maybe I have handwritten letters. And maybe I give gift cards. Maybe, I don't know. Get creative. There's no like one and done and that's it. You can't get better. Okay. Round 1 may not be enough. Remember, this is long-term domination. You may need to tweak your materials and start planning for round 2. Okay. But remember the average. 3% conversion ratio of 500 homes in a 12-month period is 15 listings. Okay. You only worked for 6 weeks so far. You didn't work for 12 months. Don't expect 12-month results, right? In a 6-week period. Also, you need to have the conversation up front with your business vendors, partners, that they are not guaranteed a return on this investment right away. You can't promise somebody that they're absolutely going to get paid something. You have no idea. Remind them it's a long-term strategy. Okay? Be consistent, win every day, trust the process, and reap the benefits. All right, we're going to wrap it up. The difference between the 1% and the 99 is the 1% is willing to do what the other 99% is not willing to do. Okay? Realtor says, this looks really hard to pull off. It is. If it were easy, everyone would do it. Everybody be selling 15 homes a year, 20 homes a year, 50 homes a year. All right. What you do in one attempt of mega geo farming, most realtors won't do in their entire career. Not just like in a single year, they won't do it ever. So yeah, it's work, but the payoff is worth it. Prepping is 99% of this. And for those that are on our team wondering what's taking a little longer to get this thing rolling, it's because we're so meticulous about the plan, about the prep, so that it goes off without a hitch. And it has the highest rate of conversion on our team. Okay. Establishing those vendor relationships. I didn't even talk about this before, but inadvertently, you going and talking to other business owners will give you deals in and of itself. Business owners usually are entrepreneurial. They might have a second investment property, a third, a fifth, or whatever. They might use you for their realtor on other future investment properties or to sell off their investment properties. So you becoming friends with business owners now may be another form of income in this situation of getting more listings. And now they're going to refer you because they're also your referral the other way around, right? Okay. Invest in your real estate business, implement the plan, make connections with the community, and build relationships with clients and vendors. Be creative and think through what you're doing. If you're doing this whole thing around Thanksgiving, instead of a community event, maybe you have a turkey thing where you give out a bunch of turkeys, or maybe you do baskets, or maybe you do a food drive. Maybe you do something else other than food truck night or whatever. If it's around Christmas, again, super easy to think through all the creative things you can do around Christmas, right? If it's around any holiday, think through, how do I wrap this holiday into this? Okay. And one of the last things I'll leave you with is don't pay for all of this yourself. Don't go into a bunch of debt paying for this yourself. Get partners, and don't do it until you do get partners. You can even show them the plan that you've mapped out. In fact, you probably might want to instill in them the confidence that you know what you're doing because you've got a plan. Okay. All right. Q&A time. Go ahead and you can type them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and we'll get some Q&A.
If you're doing this as an agent on a team, for example, most of us in here, I think, are at EXP, on the RW group team. If you wanted to farm, like let's say Abby and I wanted to do like our local neighborhood over here, and it's being our first time being new agents, is that something that we could go use the mentorship program with as well? Like seek guidance through that, or like what, I guess, is that something we would try to go at, alone, or, what?
Okay, so let me separate this question out a little bit.
Okay.
Can you do your own marketing and advertising and get your own leads? Absolutely. I'm never going to tell you no, right? Um, Now, the second part of that was tied to mentorship program and stuff. That's totally different, right? Um, Mentorship is just the first three transactions, regardless of where those happen. So, uh, and that's just that. Now, I will say for the local agents on the team, I'm hoping to keep you guys so busy, you won't have time to do anything else. But if there is time and you want to do it, absolutely. Like Eduardo's a little bit more south, Amber's a little bit more north and west. So yeah, absolutely. Get a partner, go after it, get vendors. If you want, um, let's say that you are on a team and you want to present this to your team leader. I'm just speaking generically to anybody watching this as a video. Present this plan to your team leader and say, will you help me? I want to do this, but will you help me? The team leader may say this and say, whoa, I'm going to do this with my whole team. And they'll pay for it, which is even better for you if you don't have to pay for it, right? And so you never know, like if you can either get your team leader to help you or connect you with their vendors or whatever, and then go for it. Because when you win, the team leader wins anyways, hopefully, if they have the right mentality. And so hopefully that answers your question of like, yeah, yes, definitely. Even if you're not on a team, if you are on a team, I would present it to anybody that you're partnered with, whether it was your lender, like up there in Emerald Coast. Amber, you've got a partner, Desi, who's your lender. I would present this to Desi and be like, look, this is a plan. I think we can tackle it together. This is what it will take. I've ran the numbers. I know what the expenses are. Will you help me? Or you contribute something to it. And she might say, it's a great plan. Let's do it. Or she might say, actually, let's get title to help pay for this too. You never know, right? And then you're up and running and you're going. So it really depends on your specific scenario. If you're just a single agent out there in wherever you are, whatever state, the way that we described it in this presentation, I would say go for title, lending, inspectors, insurance, all those as your partners first. Because at the end of the day, those relationships are valuable too. Not just for this project that you're doing, but just in general. So good question. Any other questions? Or statements? You guys are quiet.
It's always after when the meeting ends, you'll be like, there was that thing I was supposed to have.
There was that question I had. Amber, anything?
So I actually, Desi and I are geo farming, but we have an apartment community that we're doing in Fort Walton.
Okay.
But we're geo farming for buyers. And so we're like probably 30 days into it. We didn't have the 7-step process, but so we've mailed, we've door knocked, and we've called so far. We've gotten a couple buyers that are avidly looking that way. And I think the apartment complex has 325 buyers in it. So I'm definitely going to go over this with Desi and help kind of implement the steps that we've missed to carry on to it. But yeah.
So that's great. And the one thing that I would ask about farming for buyers. So remember that if you farm for listing, you get buyers.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So it's like if you farm for buyers, you probably won't get a whole lot of listings.
Right.
And so it's like, hopefully, and I don't want to like totally throw a monkey wrench into what you got going on, because it sounds like it's something and it's moving forward. But in a low inventory market, and I don't know what your inventory is right there, and you probably should look through Fort Walton Beach and say, is this a seller's market or a buyer's market? Because if it's like most places around the country, it's probably a seller's market.
Yeah.
Which means having extra buyers is not super valuable right now until you have listings.
Right.
And so I would maybe just shift the strategy a little bit to go for listings. Now, the lender might say, well, how do I benefit from you getting listings?
Right.
Say, well, for every listing, we're going to have all these open houses, and we're going to supposedly, national average, we should have 2.3 to 2.5 buyers for every listing. So you will absolutely get deals, probably more deals, because now I've got the listing. So it's like the long-term mentality that a lender has to get in their head is like, oh, so if you have the listings, you have the potential to have the buy side and the sell side. And, you know, and plus sellers become buyers when they have to move.
Right.
So if your lender can get that wrapped around their head and saying, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's do the listings, because I know I'm going to get buyers off of this as well. But I'm glad that you already synced up with Desi on that, because
Yeah,
they have a partner, and especially if they're willing to put the legwork in and knock it with you as well. That's awesome. Well, cool. We're right up at our time. I'm going to go ahead and end this one. And then feel free to ask any more questions about, you know, getting more listings. We didn't go a whole lot into the new school. And what I mean by that is like the tech part of it. Remember that when they scan that QR code, they can be taken lots of places, either to your website, a landing page, or like what we have is a whole funnel. And that funnel is trying to convert them, and it's trying to qualify the lead. And in our funnel, we're getting name, email, phone number, address. That's a lot of information on somebody, but it's a highly qualified lead when they give it. Okay. And then of course they go into a drip campaign and a follow-up system from there. So that's kind of the new school meets old school. All right. Let me go ahead and stop recording.